Hi, my name is Monica, and I'm going to talk to you about Uth Plutihi. This is the final posture in the Ashtanga Yoga practice, and it means seated lift or uprooting. So I'm going to talk to you about how to build a strong foundation and strength in this posture. So this posture can be done from a full lotus, a half lotus, or a just regular cross-leg position. It's best done from a full lotus, and I actually think it's probably the most simple way to do it because you do have a solid foundation right here. When you're doing it from a half lotus or a cross-leg position, you kind of are a little uneven, but it's not impossible, and it can be done, so we'll talk about it. Going into a full lotus position, you want to bring your toes to sit right in your hip crease. You can kind of pull them back a little and then get a really good lotus here. So, one of the most common mistakes is that when they do Uth Plutihi, a lot of people kind of just press into the ground and just expect to try to lift themselves up, and that's really not how the posture can be done. You push into the ground as much as possible, but the lift really comes from the pelvic floor and comes from the strength in the bandhas. So you're going to press into the ground. You put your hands, they kind of go wherever works for you because everybody's arms are a different length. So for me, it's kind of right in between where the knees and the hips are and just back a little. So I press into the ground, I get a really strong foundation. So you press into the ground at the point where you can actually straighten your elbows as much as possible. You can get this nice length between your shoulders and your ears. So one of the most common mistakes is that people kind of press or they scrunch, and they arch here and they just try to lift, but you want to have a straight spine, you want to have length between your shoulders and your ears, and you want to have a really good foundation pressing your hands into the ground. So you want to feel all of your fingers, your index finger especially, and all of your knuckles pressing into the ground. You get that length between your shoulders and your ears. You suck in the lower belly, engage the pelvic floor, and then you just start to lift. So you may lift your knees and then kind of lift up your sit bone, and you'll hold here for 10 slow breaths. So you lift up, and then you'll be surprised, maybe after a couple of breaths, and you're holding in your pelvic floor the whole time in Uddiyana Bandha, you might be able to lift up just a little higher. And you take a couple breaths here, and then you lower down. I know it looks easier said than done, but it'll eventually come. When you're working towards it, you press into the ground. You may just lift a knee off the ground, and then lift the other knee, and then slowly start to lift your sit bone off the ground. You can also do it from rolling forward, kind of lifting your sit bone up, lift a knee up, and then lift the other knee up. So there's a couple ways to work on it in that way. Doing it from a half lotus position, same thing. Find the right positioning for your hands, press into the ground, and then you lift everything up, and you want to squeeze this leg in. So you're really working on squeezing so that you can get this foot off the ground. Now if you're just working towards it, lift up your sit bone, and then kind of lift this knee up, and you're working towards it. Do this for a couple breaths. Then maybe on the last one, you start to lift this leg up. Maybe you just hold it up for a half a breath or even a breath, but that's a start. And eventually, move on to a full breath, then a breath and a half, then 2 breaths, all the way up to 10 breaths. And maybe even before you get to 10 breaths, you'll be doing full lotus. So doing it from a regular cross-leg position too, this is just perfectly fine. And this is how we do jump packs or vinyasas, so this will be a good way to even practice Uth Plutihi, just to start to understand how to do a jump back. So, cross-leg position, pressing the hand into the ground, pulling in the pelvic floor, lifting up the sit bone, lifting up one foot, the foot underneath, lifting up the other foot. Holding here for 10 breaths, and then lowering down. But again, starting with 1 breath all the way up to 10. One good thing to do to understand how to get the strength in this posture and how to understand how to do the lift without just using the hands is to let the hands just kind of stay on the ground, or even maybe bring them off the ground. Let the legs squeeze in. So, letting the legs squeeze in, bringing the arms out, and kind of just feeling what this is like. Using the pelvic floor, holding it in, and just squeezing. And then holding this for a couple breaths, and then lowering it down. So, bringing it back up, squeezing in. You can see here that your arms are not too short to press into the ground, and then letting it go. You can do this in a full lotus too. So you sit here, you feel the muscles of the muscles that it takes to lift up, not even using your hands, and then lowering down. Lifting up, and then lowering down. So this is really the movement of Uth Plutihi without the hands and lifting up. Right? So pressing into the ground, you're lifting up, and then just lifting the sit bone off of the ground and coming forward. So lowering down, and then 10 deep breaths in that posture. So this has been how to build strength or how to work towards 10 breaths in Uth Plutihi. I hope that helped you some. And if you have any questions or anything that you'd like to ask, I'd love to answer. So namaste.